Well, good afternoon, everybody. It is always a good time to be preparing for the next tropical storm or hurricane that eventually is going to hit the Houston-Galveston area, whether it's next week, next month, or the next several years. And what's out there right now is nothing. A storm has not formed. We do not have a tropical storm Barry. That's the next name on the list. But as you may be becoming aware of, computer models are suggesting that we're going to get a storm form in the Gulf of Mexico, and today the models have been very consistent in sending that storm closer to the Texas or Louisiana coast. So that's us. So it is time to begin to prepare with a little more earnest. And I'm going to go over the computer models with you as well here in just a moment, but first of all, here's what we know and here's what you should be doing right now. Hurricane Center giving it an 80% chance that a named system develops in the Gulf of Mexico. We don't know exactly where it's going to go at this time. But the models today, overnight and this morning, have continued to shift whatever forms to the west. That means closer to Houston and Galveston. So that's got us a little more concerned. I'm going to skip to this one. Texas and Louisiana, you should review your hurricane supplies and preparedness. Coastal areas as well. If you're on the coast, especially in an area that floods or is subject to storm surge, you should be preparing or at least reviewing your evacuation route. Where would you go and how would you get there if you were asked to evacuate, if something were to come our way? And check the weather often. Check with us twice a day. Once in the morning when you get up, once in the evening when you go to bed is good. Twice a day, because things can change very rapidly with hurricane forecasting. Now back to this one. There's still a tremendous amount of uncertainty in where this will form and what its eventual track, and even more so in the strength. Forecasting hurricane intensity is one of the most difficult parts of computer model forecasting a storm. So we're going to look at the computer models, and you're going to see that they're sending a storm in our direction. I want you to understand that at the moment, see where it says lots of uncertainty? Because the storm hasn't formed yet, there's even more uncertainty in these models that I'm going to show you and go over with than normal. So are we ready? And understand that these models could change. So what are we looking at right now? Well, there's nothing. There's just an X here. What we have is a little mid-level circulation over the southern Georgia and Florida panhandle. But that mid-level circulation is going to move out over the warm waters of the Gulf of Mexico, where conditions are very favorable for tropical development. So the computers are saying, aha, that swirl gets over warm water, it's going to form. Hurricane Center is going over this. They're giving it an 80% chance that a storm forms over the next 5 days, a 30% chance that it forms over the next 2 days. So again, this thing is not even over water yet, which is why pinpointing strength and track are very difficult right now. There's a wider amount of uncertainty in these forecast models that I'm going to show you than normal. So take this with a grain of salt, but understand that it's a possibility, and the price we pay living on the Gulf Coast is to be prepared in case a big storm comes our way. So this is an unusual setup. We actually have a surface frontal boundary. Technically, it's a cold front that is going to push a piece of vorticity out over the open waters of the Gulf of Mexico. This is atmospheric spin. It's vorticity in the mid-levels. And that is forecast to move west. This is the European model, and that sends a storm, maybe a tropical storm, maybe a hurricane, very close to Houston as we head into Saturday night and Sunday morning. So that's the timing on it right now. But again, big grain of salt. This could probably change over the next several days as the model suites get more aggressive or less aggressive with the storm moving out. As far as rain goes, this is a look at potential rainfall. Here we are going into Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The system's over water. Everybody in New Orleans is on high alert as well, as that could end up going toward New Orleans. But if it does come to Houston, it would be Saturday, in particular going into Saturday evening and Saturday night, and it may dump significant rain. So this could be a rainfall threat, heavy rain flooding threat as well. Could be. Again, this computer model scenario is forecasting a storm that doesn't exist yet, and so it's a wider amount of error in the forecast models. Why is it moving in that direction? Well, the computers believe we're going to have a big dome of high pressure off to the east and a dome of high pressure off to the west. It's going to be backing off. And as that backs off, it'll create space for that storm to develop. And notice this high pressure also moving in, so giving it a shove. So these storms, think of these areas of high pressure as mountains of air. The storm doesn't want to climb up the mountain. It wants to stay in the valley. And the valley, unfortunately, is going to open up At the moment, the computers think toward the Texas and Louisiana coast, and that's why it's sending it there right toward the Golden Triangle and Beaumont, Port Arthur, which is very close to us. Again, I'm not forecasting a particular landfall, but what I am saying is we're getting consistent run-to-run now computer model runs that are taking a strong system close to Houston at the end of the week and into the coming weekend. If it does get a name, I don't know if you remember, back in May, we had Andrea out in the East Pacific, the Eastern Atlantic. So Barry would be the next name on the list, were this to develop as the computers are suggesting. Here's the way it looks in the extended forecast. We're hot and dry. It's mid to upper 90s Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, but Friday evening maybe rain chances increasing depending on the potential track of this. Saturday and Sunday, at the moment, I've got a good chance for rain. We'll have an eye on the Gulf. It is just too early to try to determine with any pinpoint accuracy where the system is going to go exactly and what strength it will be. But the bottom line is, when you pass by the grocery store over the next day or two, pick up water for your family in case your power is out for a week or a month and it's hot like it is now and you have no AC and no way of getting it. You need water. A gallon per adult person per day is what you need. I suggest getting supplies for 5 days. Food as well. If we were to get a powerful hurricane with strong winds, this would knock down a tremendous number of trees, and you may not be able to get out of your neighborhood because of downed trees to get to the store to get supplies. So you need to get them beforehand just in case. And if this one misses us, which we hope it does, well, then you have supplies for the next one, and you don't have to run out at the last minute to try to prepare. You already have it. Prescriptions filled is a good idea. So again, you don't have to get out and become an emergency when there may be real life-threatening emergencies elsewhere, and our services are just stretched to the limit in an emergency situation if that were to happen. So again, it's too early to tell exactly how this is going to play out, but the possibility is there. We're tracking it carefully. We'll continue to update you, several times a day. You watch the weather here on KHOU and get the app and check with us twice a day and get prepared so you don't get caught off guard in case something does come our way.